Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green Pill Secret. This is a very special episode. I've invited my friend Shea Megale onto the podcast today to discuss some of the topics about living with disabilities.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Shea, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions if you don't, it's okay.
Absolutely, shoot. Yep.
All right. May I start? Why, would you mind discussing your disability?
Yeah, for sure. I have a form of muscular dystrophy, which is genetic, so I was born with it. It's called spinal muscular atrophy. Technically type 2, although it's a spectrum between types. So some type 2s will be weaker than I am. I might be a weak type 3. It's very on a spectrum. Um, yeah, I've lived with it my whole life. I think it's a little different when you are born with, you know, I don't want to say normal, but you're able-bodied from the start. It's very different to become disabled. But for me, it's all I've known in my life.
Wow.
So, yep, right from the start.
Okay. Well, I've always known you, and you always seem to be upbeat and good about the attitude. And I always appreciate it. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast because I love your vibe.
Oh, well, I'm sure not to disappoint them.
Absolutely. But let me ask you, have you ever had trouble meeting people with your disability?
You mean like dating and like romantically?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I never have trouble meeting people in general. In fact, that's sort of the opposite problem I think people with disability have. I like to joke around and say I'll go to Disneyland and the characters will make a beeline for me, because
Right.
I'm in a wheelchair, and that's great, and I love that, and that's one of the blessings that come with a disability. There are definitely lots of curses that come with it as well, but that's one of the blessings. As far as meeting people romantically, I'd say it's definitely a different ballgame if you have
Mm.
a physical disability. There's definitely some hurdles. Probably the biggest one is just getting people to see past physical barrier, physical equipment, wheelchair, that kind of thing. But it happens. It just takes some effort, and it's going to be a smaller pool of people that are willing to see past that. But in some ways, that will just eliminate time wasters. And there
Oh,
are people
yeah.
out there that will see past it. So just be patient, and it'll happen.
That's a great attitude. Absolutely. Because, I mean, the sooner you can find someone who is happy to be there with you and happy to deal with all of the extra responsibilities of being someone who is a partner and potential love
Hmm.
interest,
Hmm.
that's great. If you can just red flag the people that will not and
Right.
just get to the ones that will, because they will be perfect.
And that
Or
applies to
red
everyone,
flag.
right, Jeffrey? I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everyone has a weird thing about them, and or maybe for
right.
someone else, it's like, I don't want to have kids, I do want to have kids, or whatever, and that's a deal
Exactly.
breaker. But, it's deal
Right.
breakers are normal for everybody,
Oh,
disability or
yeah.
no disability.
Absolutely. I've joked even before where some women will say, no, pop, dude, I can find lots of men with hair. So it's fine. You ain't
Yeah,
for
and
me. I
hey,
ain't
I'm not
interested.
excusing shallowness either. There
Yeah,
there is certainly shallowness, and I'm not excusing that.
right.
But at the end of the day, as Phyllis from The Office says, which I'm a big Office fan, I
Hmm.
think you deserve to be with someone who wants to be with you.
Absolutely. That is a perfect advice. Now, let me ask you, what are some of the challenges you've faced because of your disability?
Uh, One thing I often say is that people will look at me and assume that my major challenges are physical,
Mm,
pain,
mm,
doctor visits, that kind of thing. And I always rebuttal them and say that's not true. The major challenges for people with disabilities are social, social inclusion, not just inclusion, but mainstreaming, which is very important, and which I argue saves lives. Mainstreaming saves lives. So it's a difference between going to a concert and sitting in a disabled section where there are
mm.
disabled people,
Right,
or going to a concert and sitting with everybody else. That's the
right.
difference. So you're still going to the concert, you're still technically given access, but it's
Mhm.
not being mainstreamed. And that hurts a lot more than people realize. Just
Oh,
having access is not enough.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, because you and I, we went to see Star Wars and we faced
Sure.
exactly that. We had to find a special place,
Right.
and it was unfortunate that we had to, but we did, and they accommodated us. But yeah, I can see how
Right.
obviously having to feel like you have to make that special request is like a
Right.
little bit dig in the knife in the heart to say, oh, if only.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I can really get that. So what are some of the things that you've done to overcome these challenges?
I think you might have hit it on the head in the beginning. Attitude is a big factor. It's not always easy to have a positive attitude. And I don't always have a positive attitude, but I try to. And I think that positivity attracts people who will help you. And it's just, the way you approach something, if someone can respect you for that, they're more likely to help you. And
Right.
so I think that being able to have an attitude that people respect is one thing I've done to help myself.
Right.
Um, other things are I've had excellent resources. I have a wonderful supportive family. My
Mhm.
family certainly helps me access resources, government resources, medical resources, whatever. So having a support system is
Mhm.
important. And for our listeners, maybe they're not as fortunate as I am to have family that
Mhm.
is so supportive, but maybe they have friends, or maybe they can
Right.
reach out to coworkers even.
Right.
Something making some kind of support system
Right.
is really important. And then finding ways to express myself,
Right.
having a voice here or having a voice when I write, are ways
Mhm.
that I can help myself.
Well, tell me more about your writing, please.
But writing, all right. Well, the cover that's behind me is my young adult romance novel. This is not a love scene, which was published by St. Martin's Press. I'm very proud of that. My first traditionally published novel. And it does feature a main character who has a physical disability.
Wow, that is so fascinating. And does it turn out well for the character, the main character?
Yeah, so the character falls in love with an able-bodied man, which
Hmm.
has all the awkwardness and humor that I was alluding to earlier in this interview about, going through those barriers and those questions, how does this work, et cetera, et cetera. And that certainly happens in the book, but I think that the character eventually gets what she wants, whether or not it looks like a typical happily ever after. And that's really all I was going for. There's not a lot of literature out there, young
Absolutely.
adult literature that has, yeah, representation for people with physical disabilities. In fact, the only one that I know of, it was a male character with a physical disability,
Hmm.
and he, unfortunately chooses to end his life at the end of the book
Oh dear.
because of how, yeah, which I was very angry about, and many people in the disability community were not happy with
Of course.
that goal. Yeah, because life is worth living with a disability, without a disability, and
Right.
that's the message that we want to send.
Absolutely. I mean, disability, not a disability. You are entitled to happiness. We're all
Sure.
entitled to happiness.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's it. And so let me ask you, I mean, having read the book, I mean,
Hmm.
the character Cole obviously is the one that is the love interest that we've just talked about, the able-bodied man. Have you met any real life Coles and been able to get together with them?
Man, you sound like my publisher or the people at my first book signing all ask me this question, is there a real life Cole? And I'm always very coy with them. And so I'll have to
Okay.
continue to be coy with you.
I don't
Um,
mind.
but yeah, I would just say that I have a lot of love in my life. And I have met a lot of people who are open-minded and who are, just interested in engaging in many different ways with someone with a disability that is respectful and again open-minded, which is hopefully we have more of that in the
Oh,
world.
absolutely.
Hopefully, my
Absolutely.
book can help there be more of that in the world.
I think so. Guys, you should read the book. This is not a
There
love
you
scene.
go.
It's a really good book.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I endorse it.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you feel comfortable answering this one, but do you have any other identities that people may know you as or you wish to share?
Well, I write as SC Megale. And so I oftentimes would get maybe an email from a fan or an editor would be great. Dear SC, hope you're doing well. And I'm always like, who is SC again? But I had to do that because I'm a big fan of C.S. Lewis, J.R.R.
Hmm.
Tolkien, and it's sort of a thing in the writing world, right? You know, you're a
Yeah.
fantasy guy, and
Hmm.
George R. R. Martin. So,
Hmm.
so I write under SC Megale, but I do also write children's books,
Hmm.
which I published originally under Shea Megale. So you
Hmm.
might find some of my writing as Shea, but most of it now is going to be moving all to SC, which I'm making my brand.
Oh, that's cool. I like it. And SC, it's a nice little in. I love the way you reference it with CS and
Right,
JR and all
yeah.
of that. That's brilliant. And also, it is a good trope that many authors do choose to do anyway because of some level of potential turn-offedness by a
Oh,
woman's
like
name.
J.K. Rowling, right? J.K.
Yes,
Rowling ended up and
exactly.
yeah.
And it is a pity, but it exists. We are aware of that.
Hmm.
So finally, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can visit my website, which is www.scmcgalley.com. There is a contact form there, or they can sign up for my mailing list at that same website, or like me on Facebook. So again, they'll just be searching your Facebook, SC McGalley, my fan page will pop up. Would love to stay in touch.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shay, for coming on the Green Pill Secret. And I look forward to seeing you or coming to another event with you, my friend.
All right, take care, buddy.